Hello, this is Andrea Coulter, your modern day medicine woman, and I wanted to post a video on my website explaining the difference between homeopathy and dynamic medicine, but also really explaining what a homeopathic remedy is. There is a lot of misconceptions out there, and I've been using homeopathy for well over 35 years, and so sometimes I kind of forget what I really know about it and how it all works because I've understood it for so long that when a client comes in and asks me, what is a homeopathic remedy, I have to really stop and think, what do I know about homeopathic remedies? Because I don't explain them to myself anymore. So recently I've had a lot of new people that have never tried homeopathy before. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon because, people like Dr. Oz are purporting it and so on. So I wanted to, and I went over and actually looked at some of his videos, and I've looked at a number of other videos that people have done about homeopathy, and there's still very mystical, limiting views. And honestly, even when I watched some of those videos, I was kind of like, I don't really understand what they're trying to say. Like, it still sounds very confusing and really not filling in all the holes. Like, there's still a lot of holes. So I'm hoping that this video will help to explain a little bit more about what a homeopathic remedy is. And then I'll explain a little bit further into what dynamic medicine is, because it is a different system. Even though it utilizes, homeopathics, but really homotonic remedies. And again, I'll go into that further. But for now, let's just help you understand what a homeopathic remedy is, because everybody wants to start using them, but everybody's a little confused and it's a little bit scary, and I'm not really sure. And I mean, we all know that herbal remedies or herbal substances, can also be harmful and can be harsh, which is actually true, which is why I much prefer dynamic medicine and homeopathics, because they are gentle, they have no side effects, and they work by natural laws, and a law that it actually is the curative law. For instance, it was Hippocrates, who is the founder of conventional medicine, all of medicine, several thousand years ago, he wrote that the true curative law is the law of similar resonance. Now, what's interesting about that is that it took, doctors several thousand years to figure out how to actually utilize that law. That originally, say, someone came in with a big bump on the head, well, Hippocrates says, law of similars, so let's, whack them on the head again and see if that helps. Well, it's not really going to help, as you and I both know. That's not a really wise way to go about it. So they kind of kiboshed the law, weren't sure how to use it because they were still looking in very crude form, which is all fine and dandy. Everything unfolds in the right way at the right time. So fast forward, several thousand years, and Dr. Hahnemann comes along and doing his own research, and he was a regular doctor in the day, but didn't like their harsh methods, and had kind of pulled away from from regular medicine, and was learning about just looking at health in a more natural way. So eating well and getting fresh air and exercise and all those basics. But a couple hundred years ago, those were big deals, and which is funny, we're still trying to figure all that stuff out today. However, he stumbled upon, and I won't go into how it all came about. If you really want to learn far more about how to use dynamic medicine, how homeopathy came about, and so on a deeper, bigger way, get my homeopathy course, get my Dynamic 101 course. It explains all of this. So just jump over to courses and buy it. It's super cheap. You get free remedies. It's, an hour and a half audio and a booklet. It's all totally worth it. But anyway, the basics of homeopathy is that Hahnemann had discovered that if a substance in crude form gives you specific symptoms physically as well as mentally, emotionally, because we're all interpenetrated. If you've watched any of my other videos or listened to me in any other capacity, you're going to know that I'm all about understanding that you cannot differentiate just the physical body from the mental and the emotional body. They all interpenetrate. So if you ingest something that affects you physically, for instance, say you overindulge in alcohol. I'm sure everybody's done it. Well, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people do it, and for all the possibly wrong reasons. But if you have a hangover, you feel like crap, plain and simple. You've taxed your liver to the maximum. Your pancreas is overwhelmed. Your whole system is toxified, and not only do you feel horrible physically, but you just mentally and emotionally, you just feel like a bag of poo. You really do. Which is why you really shouldn't overindulge in alcohol, because it's physically hard on you, but it's also mentally, emotionally hard on you. Look at, you know, like I said, if you've ever had that experience, you'll know how horrible you feel mentally, emotionally the next day, you know, not just physically. And sometimes it takes you mentally, emotionally a few days to overcome it, not just at a physical level. And so what I want you to understand is all substances, you know, anywhere in the world, whatever comes at you or in you affects you on all levels. So this is sort of, you know, the basics of homeopathy is finding a substance that can take away your symptoms, not just at a physical level, but at a mental, emotional level as well. So like I said about the law of sames, now the law of similar resonance is a completely different law, and this is the law that Hippocrates had talked about. So when you take a substance, say for instance, well, the Gerber daisy behind me here, let's say it's poisonous, which I know it's not, but let's pretend it is, and I take one of them and I eat it all down. Now if I eat it and I start to develop physical symptoms because of the toxicity of that plant, if I want to cure myself of that toxicity that I've just ingested, I could actually take, I wouldn't take another plant and eat it because, well, that could push me over the edge and actually kill me if it's that toxic. But if I want to cure myself of these horrible symptoms that are developing and brewing because of the substance I just ingested, I could take that Gerber daisy and I could make it into a homeopathic remedy. Now, how do I do that? Well, I would take that plant and I would macerate it. So again, as long as the substance can be broken down into a liquid or powder form, and then once it's in that form, then they take that substance and they dilute it into a stock bottle of alcohol. Okay? Actually, it's a water alcohol 70-30 mix. And it depends on the potency that you're trying to make, how much stock you put it in. So the X scale is at a 1 drop of the substance to 9 drops. So the X scale is a very, very low physical dose. It takes a long time to dilute it out of that physical substance. So if you look at a remedy that's made out of an X scale, you will quite often be able to, under a microscope, see very physical components still of that substance. Majority of remedies that I would recommend if you're using them for acutes, like coughs and colds and illnesses and bumps and bruises and aches and pains and things like that, are either a 30C or 200C. They're a different dilution. So they're actually at a dilution of 1 drop of the substance in 99 drops of water alcohol. Now, it's not just 1 drop and you put it in this water alcohol and you shake it all up and it's diffused into that liquid and there you go. That's not really a homeopathic remedy. That actually is an herbal tincture. When you buy herbal stock tinctures from the store, like say you buy Golden Seal to help break up mucus, well, that Golden Seal is a mother tincture of Golden Seal plant macerated down and then placed into an alcohol tincture. So it's very physical, very, it's very much at that physical form, just, diluted. It would be like taking a dandelion and diluting it in a glass of water and drinking it. You are getting some physical component of that plant and you're going to notice it. And herbs are very powerful, but very powerful at a physical level, which is why I always recommend people be very careful with herbs, because they can also create side effects when taken with other foods, or because you have to assimilate them and digest it. You have to put it in and it's in a physical form and the body has to break it down just like everything else before it sends it off into the central nervous system. Now, the difference between that and a homeopathic remedy is, you dilute it further. So this is the interesting aspect of homeopathy that often loses everybody, is that if I take a substance and I put it in this liquid and I shake it all up, like in pharmacopoeias today, they have the big machines where they put these substances in their containers and then it agitates them for a set number of times, and so on. Now, in the old days, the guys used to take their remedies and hand succuss them, and 100 sets, and then take 1 more drop out of that diluted substance and put it in another clean container of water alcohol and succuss that one a set number of times, and so on. And so each time you dilute it further and further and further from the physical aspect, but it actually energizes it stronger at the physical energetic aspect. Again, you have to kind of really have a grasp of quantum physics and energy. But one thing I often recommend is people understanding vibration and frequencies and so on, and we're starting to really understand how those also affect us. You know, electrical magnetic frequencies, EMS, and how they affect us. And a cat's purr is at a specific hertz, a megahertz frequency that actually diffuses inflammation in the physical body. There is so much knowledge on this now, and you can certainly research it. I'm not going to talk about that, but that's the concept of the further we go away from the physical, diluting, but the stronger energetically it gets. So when it goes into our life force, it's not going in at a physical chemical level, which is why you don't get side effects, because you don't have to digest it and assimilate it like you do a physical chemical substance. It actually has the capacity, when you take that drop or that granule on your tongue, which is, you know, your mouth is full of nerves. It's in your central nervous system instantaneously. It is literally a nanosecond, and it is gone into your energetic, you know, life force, where it then interpenetrates and does what it needs to do by this interesting law, this law of similar resonance. And I'll explain why. There's another interesting cosmic law, which is a true law, where no two similar disease states can reside within the life force at one time. It's a fact. And actually Dr. Jenner, who created vaccines, understood this law. And that's, even though he's applying the law of Sames, which isn't really the right law, he had the right concept, just the wrong application. But it's the right idea in the sense that if you had, so for instance, he recognized that if you had chickenpox and he introduced smallpox, the chickenpox left every single time. Absolutely never came back. Because the human body cannot have two similar disease states at one time. It's just not possible. It's an interesting cosmic law. There's lots of interesting cosmic laws, but these ones all apply to health. And so that's how a homeopathic remedy works. When you match a set of symptoms, physical, mental, emotional, with a remedy that creates those symptoms in crude form, but in dynamized form, goes in energetically and diffuses that. It overrides it, because the substance you made as a homeopathic remedy is energetically far more powerful. Just like smallpox is a similar disease to chickenpox, but far more powerful, which is why it overrides the chickenpox. So, homeopathic remedies are designed to go in, resonate with a specific state that it's similar to, but energetically stronger, and it kicks out the disease state that you were holding. And because a homeopathic remedy is just simply energy, if there's nothing there for it to resonate with, it just leaves. It has a very limited time frame, and then it just dissipates. It doesn't affect you in any other way, which is so cool. So I hope that helps you understand a little bit more about what homeopathy is. And dynamic medicine simply is taking those forms and looking at the whole of the human organism. I don't symptom prescribe necessarily unless I need to. If you're coming in for acutes or you have major pain and inflammation and we want to address those at a very physical level. But the key is with dynamic medicine is to clear the state of mind, to clear the emotional, mental imbalances that are keeping those physical symptoms going at a physical level. And so that's basics of the difference between homeopathy and dynamic medicine, but really I wanted to explain homeopathy in a bit better way. So I'd like to know if this actually really did help. Does it make any sense? I'd love to know. So, you know, email me or send a comment, whatever. If you're looking at this on YouTube, then by all means, I'd love to hear if this really helped clarify things a little bit better for you. And if not, I'd love to know why, and I would be more than happy to answer that for you. So in True Resonant Health, I hope this has helped, and I will hopefully see you in some other way. Have a wonderful day.